Hello, everybody. Carlos X360 here. Today, I'm here with a breaking news subject: Grand Theft Auto 6. Okay, it has been delayed to November 19, 2026. The subject title of this um article is Grand Theft Auto 6 is now set to launch November 19, 2026. Okay? Hi everyone. Grand Theft Auto 6 will now release on Thursday, November 19, 2026. We are sorry for adding additional time to what we realize has been a long wait, but these extra months will allow us to finish the game with the level of polish that you have come to expect and deserve. We want to thank you again for your patience and support. While the wait is a little longer, we are incredibly excited for players to experience the sprawling state of Leonida, yeah, and a return to a modern day Vice City. Sincerely, Rockstar Games. Okay? And I immediately responded with, "Oh, gee, I wondered what caused the delay. Oh, gee, I wondered who caused the delay. Oh, gee, thanks, YouTube. Thanks, Rob, Team YouTube. This is totally not related to your stupid new rules. Totally not your fault, huh? Well, Rob and whoever decided to make the stupid new rules, guess what? Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be less violent thanks to the rules you set. Totally your fault, YouTube. Totally yours. Bravo, YouTube. You really tried to become really, really unpopular. You really tried. You delayed the biggest game launch of all time. Okay? Let me go back to this article here. Alright, so rumor is that Rockstar fired most of the, well, a portion of the staff that are working on Grand Theft Auto 6. And rumor is that those employees leaked confidential information to, I don't know who, but I mean, they leaked confidential information, I guess, about the game or the code or what's going on in there. The reason why I bring up the YouTube thing is because the rules state that you cannot have torture or mass violence, and so I'm thinking, if YouTube said this a few days ago, what is this delay? Did they leak information to YouTube, or did YouTube get a hold of these information in order to get ready for the launch of this game and preemptively get Grand Theft Auto 6 in the hot water of some type? I don't know what's going on here, but this delay is really significant. We were just excited for Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out in May, and then they delayed the game for another I think 6 months, I guess, more or less. Okay, it's not. That is a significant delay, bro. Um, Not much else is be to is to be said. But there's a video by someone, and I'll cut it over here in a minute. Um, and he says that in this leak document or leak, I don't know what you call it, but in this leak, employees leaked information to someone, someone. I don't know what it's about, but I'm gonna do like a reaction over here, and I'll cut to that right now. All right, so shout out to Bella News. And so this is gonna be a reaction part of this video. This got recommended to me on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you. I can do more contacts. I can add more value to my viewers. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, nice recommendation. Let's go.
30 people were just fired from Rockstar, and that's only 6 months before Grand Theft Auto 6 launches. And at the scale of a developer like this, while 30 may not seem like it's a humongous number of people, it is still a lot of
That's
people
not the date
now.
Because
so
this we just discussed that in a minute.
Tends to be an absolute all hands on deck scramble. Now it all begs the question: Rockstar are about to release the biggest game in the world, so how can they afford to lose that experience? Well, according to Rockstar, this was essential because every staff member fired committed, quote, gross misconduct. And that does mean that today's video is going to be a rather spicy one. Rockstar alleges that those staff leaked confidential information, which is a humongous claim. But it's one that the union working with those staff calls, quote, the most blatant act of union busting in the history of the games industry. So yeah, this is very much a story of one massive claim versus another massive claim. And that means today we've got to get to the bottom of it as best as we can. This started with the independent workers of Great Britain.
I don't like unions. Never did, never will. And I'll tell you why. Unions are built to strong arm companies into paying employees more. The game industry, as it stands, it doesn't really need like a union anymore. I mean, I don't know where I got that from, but I'll rephrase what I said. The game industry does not need unions. Never did, never has. I'll tell you why. Most employees are paid between $50,000 to $100,000. If you are in a red state today and you make $100,000, you buy a house. $100,000 will buy you a house in a red state. And I'll tell you why. Taxes are low. The house prices are low. Okay? For example, New York. If you want a house in New York, you're going to have to pay between $1 million to $5 million. California is just about worse than that. Okay? A house in San Francisco is between $2 million to $5 million. A house in a small suburb that I used to live in, 1.5. Okay? So You make $100,000 a month or $100,000 a year, you can buy a house in a red state. But I do agree that that's pretty low for employees' living wages. But the problem is, these employees do not understand how lucky they are with $100,000 sitting right there, right next to them. Some companies pay $100,000 a month. Some companies do it once a year in a salary kind of way. But for the most part, and Rockstar said this a few years ago, they said they are paid $100,000. I don't know if that's a month or a year, but unions are meant to like strong arm companies into paying employees more, and then once they've done that, they run out of the payroll to then fire them later, because no CEO is going to pay um, employees above market value because it's just not um, fiscal um, logic. Fiscal responsible. There you go. There you go. There's the word that I was looking for. So anyway, unions are bad. And if they can't get their way, like they said here, they will leak information that hurts the companies. Okay? This is a great example of why unions suck. Great example right here. Let's go. Keep going.
Britain Union making some serious allegations against Rockstar. They called it a calculated attack on workers, and it's one that hit more than 30 people who were fired in the UK alone. Now, included in this bunch are staff whose visas depended on this job, whose medical treatment depends on this job. Now, the IWGB says that everyone was fired, quote, due to trade union activity. Now, here's the key detail. They say every fired individual was part of a private trade union Discord channel. And according to the register's sources, this channel was used by the staff to, quote, discuss how they could improve their workplace. Now, they also note that, quote, there might have been just enough union members for recognition. And they framed the timing, of course, as being suspicious, where these layoffs happened after management became aware of the channel. But to get more on this, we can go to Bloomberg, because Bloomberg reports that staff were also fired in Canada. So that's what started off today's video. But after the initial reports, well, they got a new statement from Rockstar, and that statement says that the staff were fired for leaking confidential information, which could go against some of what was being suggested by the union. So basically, the allegations here are clear. Rockstar say they were protecting their company's secrets. The IWGB say that Rockstar was retaliating against employees for trying to unionize. But here's the thing. The IWGB are not backing down. They say they'll be, quote, mounting a full and robust defense of its members. This includes doing fundraising for legal coverage and a protest outside of Take-Two's London office. And that's because they believe their members were targeted unfairly for exercising their legal rights. It's a quote from them.
Really? Protesting outside of company headquarters? If I'm CEO and I find out you're doing that, you're fired. Like that. If I see you unionizing, you're fired. If I see you trading trade secrets, you're fired. None of this is acceptable. Whatever is going here, not acceptable. Not acceptable. This is not acceptable.
Yeah, union organization is a protected activity. So, in this story, we see that the union is clearly feeling quite bullish. Rockstar are saying things back, but before we get to that, there's a reason why the union is bullish. Because this is not their only active campaign. This isn't the first story out of that union. They're basically making waves in the UK industry, where, of course, Rockstar is clearly one of their ongoing ventures. Now, recently, they helped staff at Disco Elysium developer Zaum unionize to protect themselves from management and layoffs. And then, I suppose bringing in another Rockstar connection, after the Mind's Eye developer Builder Rocket Boy laid people off, the union gave the impacted staff a platform. And essentially, they're alleging that people were laid off in a fairly improper way, and that's why they're now also helping those people with legal action under the grounds of unfair dismissal. But there is a major distinction for today's story, and it's this. Rockstar denies everything, pretty much. They say that there are no union-related reasons for these dismissals. Take-Two representative told Bloomberg that it was down to gross misconduct and for no other reason, adding that they, quote, fully support Rockstar.
If I was Rockstar, I wouldn't have said any of those. I would have said just, yeah, we fired them. Yeah, we fired them because they leaked confidential information, bro. I don't care. This this is not this is not something you whatever, bro. Bro, no. No. Cannot.
Now, here's the thing, right? Gross misconduct is a fairly huge thing to say. I don't know about other jurisdictions, but it's huge to say in the United Kingdom because it is a legally clear term. It's a legally clear claim for them to make. So because of that, we need to investigate why Rockstar would say this. Because if...
Alright. Sorry for the interruption. I was interrupted by something else. Alright, so let's keep going.
Okay, it's a serious word. What does it actually mean? Well, in the UK, it's a legal term. It's the kind that lets you fire staff without pay and without notice, though they are meant to get a chance to first respond to the allegations. Now, the government's own guidance lists what qualifies for this.
Why are we responding to United Kingdom? We are a United States company.
Negligence or violence is probably a stretch, but serious insubordination, well, that actually could fit. And the reason why is because it extends to breaking company policies. So maybe that's what wrong.
The problem is they localized their company in United Kingdom to conform to their ideology. I don't even know why companies put their companies in UK. I really don't understand that. There's a Spanish language there. Yes, I understand that. So make a Spanish division in United States and do localization that way. UK speaks English too, so. But the thing is, they have to conform to the king's ideas, the government's ideas, before they are it's a whole mess. I really don't like the idea here. It's a mess that I don't like.
Are arguing here that maintaining corporate confidentiality almost certainly comes under their policies. Perhaps discussing your workplace or the production of the game you're working on an external public platform could be argued to fall into that category. But there is a tightrope to walk here for Rockstar. The IWGB were quite explicit to Bloomberg. They said, quote, the only organizers in the chat were labor organizers. That would make things tricky for Rockstar, because there's a clear reason they're saying this has nothing to do with the union. If they did, it would go very, very badly for them, and here's the reason why. Firing someone for union activity is simply not allowed unless they are taking part in an illegal industrial action. So, if staff in the Discord were acting as employee representatives, that would be a protected activity. Acting as union representatives would be protected. Lobbying to start or to join a union, that's also protected. Under UK employment law, those dismissals would automatically qualify as being unfair. So obviously Rockstar are denying it has anything to do with the union. And that would mean that if staff were to bring it to what's called an employment tribunal, and Rockstar then didn't have a valid gross misconduct claim, well then Rockstar would be liable. And that is why the IWGB do intend to bring legal action here. Because basically, if Rockstar fired over 30 people without valid cause, or are just overreaching on the idea of what actually counts as confidential information, then they could lose the case, and those staff may get their jobs back, which would certainly make for an awkward day in the office, but it could also mean compensation for lost wages, damages, and who knows if it was particularly egregious, maybe things could get a bit punitive. Now, for the IWGB, it would also be a very clear victory. It would further their movement within the country, which obviously would, if their allegations are true, be quite counter to what Rockstar would have wanted. Again, if you were to take their allegations as being true. Though there's one thing, a question that we've not gotten to yet, and it's a very simple one. Why now? Why would Rockstar staff push for union protection at this precise moment? To tell you why, I've got to go back to 2022. Then, Bloomberg reported on changes to the culture at Rockstar, where essentially Rockstar was becoming a place where staff didn't necessarily feel they would need a union to protect themselves. Rockstar got in quite a lot of bad PR over the years, and Bloomberg sources talked about pledges to, quote, keep overtime under control. So very much a far cry from the, quote, 100...
DEI. DEI.
hour weeks and the death marches of 14-hour days that had previously been involved in delivering their games. As an example, back in 2018, after the crunch in Red Dead Redemption 2, before it was released, Rockstar even went so far as to authorize staff to speak out about their experiences to try and change the narrative. And since then, even managers who were framed as bullying or being abusive had been removed from power. Basically, they tried to change a lot in the company. And sources flagged up that the company had also closed their gender pay gap by over half the 2018 figure, down to 13.8%, and that even with all that change, in terms of the actual output, they framed the writing on the new Grand Theft Auto game as being thoughtfully satirical, punching up at people with power instead of down. Of course, Grand Theft Auto has always been a satire of American culture made by Scottish people. I mean, obviously it's a lot bigger than that now, but that's basically how the whole thing started off. Anyway, in short, it actually seemed like one of the biggest companies in gaming was also trying to reform itself.
Yeah, he's telling the truth. Grand Theft Auto has always been a satirical video game. It has never taken itself so seriously. Those that do, I don't know what you were thinking, but hey, that's whatever. But Grand Theft Auto was a satirical take on society and the way the world works today. For example, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is a satirical take on modern day San Francisco, modern day San Jose, modern day San Antonio, that kind of thing. Okay, so the when you go to New York, you're gonna be in a place like San Andreas. Vice City is a satirical take on, I think, 1960s, 1950s, 1970s, somewhere there, where you're in Miami with rich colored shirts and polo shorts, and you're a surfer boy, and you're this and you're that. It's a whole mess. It's like a mobster movie. So it's a satirical take on that too. It's like a melting pot of all these cultures into one place. But the problem is the media portray Grand Theft Auto as like one to reality, and nobody looked at it as a satirical take on culture for that period. Grand Theft Auto 4, for example, is pure New York. Pure New York. You cannot change the language. It's New York. Okay? Grand Theft Auto 5 is a mix between Miami, California, and one other state. I think it's a little bit of uh New York. A little bit of that. But for the most part, um Grand Theft Auto 5 is basically a satirical take on modern day Texas, especially when you start out the game. You start in Trevor's trailer, and then you go to the richest part of um that area, and then you go to some sorry um streamer's home, and there's a millionaire in there, and your job is to rip off this guy, and then your job is to manipulate this guy, and then your job is to do this, that, steal, whatever. It's it's not supposed to be taken seriously. Not supposed to. So yeah.
To being a model for healthy development. Now, that stuff came from 2022. Obviously, it's ringing a bit different now, given that we're talking about this story. And one thing that could have changed things was the devastating security breach. When that happened, Rockstar leadership began to tighten their grip. And I would say,
Yeah.
understandably so. A major security breach like that is seriously awful for the
Oh
development
yeah.
of the game. Now, Bloomberg reported that staff
Major
were told to
hack.
return to the office 5
Yeah.
days a week as of February 24th, and in their framing,
Hold on. Let me pause for a second. There was a hack, and Grand Theft Auto 6 was part of that hack. It affected a few companies. It's not just Rockstar. It was I forgot what it's called. Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto 6, some other game, and then a bunch of other companies. So they all ganged up on this hack, and um, whoever was the hacker got in big trouble. So he went to court. He probably went to prison, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember the story, but it was a big hack, and they were part of it. So yeah, that's what they're talking about here. So yeah.
Of course, typically, return to office mandates also can function as soft layoff tools, which basically just helps to get rid of staff, and often, in the opinion of companies, get rid of staff who are, let's just say, the least invested in the company's success. Now, the delays to Grand Theft Auto's release have likely not helped matters here, because staff will be under constant levels of pressure to get the game ready by the new release date, and obviously to not have to do another delay. So, in light of all this, it does make sense that the staff would have wanted some union protection. Perhaps they'd seen progress during GTA development, maybe they want to lock it in, maybe they saw signs of backsliding and want to prevent it. Of course, for the visa holders, the people with, say, dependent medical coverage, well, they would quite need some things to be locked in, and if they were unionizing, then the pressure of an upcoming launch would give them maximum leverage. By now, you basically understand both sides of this story. As for GTA, well, an employment tribunal in the UK is not going to kill Grand Theft Auto 6 sales. All the bad press about working conditions will not matter when pre-orders open. But that tribunal's impact could go far beyond the sales of one game. Because if these allegations are true, and remember, they are allegations, then holding Rockstar accountable would actually send a message. One to the biggest companies in the world, making the biggest games in the world, that they can't treat their employees like this, that they can't fire people who depend on that job for, say, their right to remain in the country, for their medical care, unless they have real, proper reason. And that would mean that if Rockstar's accusation of gross misconduct would hold,
No.
then they would be proven right, and those staff would have, by, I suppose, the letter of the law, been proven wrong.
No.
But more than that, it would require staff seeking to unionize to be a lot more careful about when and where they take action. As an example, in that Discord server, we don't know what was talked about, and I don't really want to speculate in that, but it's the sort of thing that staff would probably need to be more careful about. Obviously, the IWGB losing on those grounds would even discredit their movement. If they aren't, and things are as the IWGB alleges, then Rockstar would have shattered lives over a Discord channel that staff used to discuss how they could improve their workplace. We would certainly hope that an improved workplace would in the long term be in everyone's best interests. As for this one, we need to wait and see, and ultimately what will decide things, I'd say, is the opinion of a judge, to see how they actually read the cases being made to them. Now, you're probably clicked in this video because you're interested in GTA. And if you're interested in GTA, probably like heists, such as Payday.
Good video by Bella News. Excellent. I'll link the video in the description. Go watch it on your own if you want to. I'm gonna have one more part of this video. Alright, for the final part of this video, we're gonna talk about what the CEO of Rockstar said. Okay? So IGN did like a short interview with CEO hold on, here's Strauss Zelnick. Yeah, CEO Strauss Zelnick is highly confident that this is the last time. Speaking to IGN on a call ahead of the announcement, Zelnick reiterated that the company's statement that the delay is simply for Rockstar to have time to polish the game. Just 1 second. I call BS on that one. So let's keep going. Okay, so Zelnick reiterated that the company's statement that the delay was simply for Rockstar to have time to polish the game. We wanted to give Rockstar the appropriate amount of time to polish the title and make sure that it can be the very best it can be. Previously, Grand Theft Auto 6 was announced for a fall 25 release, which Zelnick told them that he felt confident in, even as rumors swirled of a delay. The game was later delayed to May 2026, with Take-Two and Rockstar similarly citing a need for polish. I call bullcrap on that. A bunch of stories came out about DEI at that point, so that's BS. I'll just keep going. Just bear with me for a second here. So I asked Zelnick again, how confident do you feel about this new date? Do you think there's any chance we're looking at GTA 6 in 2027. He said, "I'm highly confident," he replied. And at the same time, there has been limited circumstances where more time was required to polish a title and make sure it was spectacular, and that time has been well spent when our competitors go to market before something was ready. Bad things happen. That said, that said, I'm highly confident on the new date. I call bull crap. I still call bull crap. I'm expecting a delay at this point. So we already went through parts of this already in the last portion of the video. So I'm gonna X this out and come over here. I'm citing the game business this time. Last time it was IGN. So now, in an interview with the game business, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick said, "When we set a date, we really do believe in it. We said when we set a late, okay, we said when we set the last date, if a game requires more polish to be best to be the best possible version of itself, then we will give that game more time." And that's exactly what happened. We feel really good about this release date. It's in the same fiscal year. It happens to be a great release window, and naturally, we're really supportive of Rockstar's approach. The new release date is still over a year away, and we asked Zelnick why set a date so far in advance when it's clearly complicated, when it's a clearly a complicated project to actually predict. What we want to do is give consumers as much as certainty as possible. And again, we feel quite good about this date. It's not that far in advance. I'm going to get to that in a second. It's not that far in advance if you look at it when you need to deliver a game to get it out. Zelnick said. And also, we have to start marketing. Oh my goodness. We have to start marketing activities in a significant amount of time ahead of release. What we want to do is give consumers as much certainty as possible, and again, we feel good about this date. I'm gonna get to this in a minute. Because we have a May release date. Why? We continue to supply content to GTA Online, and in fact, we've had terrific results there. And GTA Plus continues to grow in membership. In fact, it's grown 20% year on year. And GTA 5 has sold more than 200 and wow. GTA 5 has sold more than 220 million units. Okay, so that means, because for those of you who don't know, GTA 5 was released on PlayStation 3, Xbox One, I think, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, So that's 3 generations. Um, so yeah, recapping stuff we already know. So I'll finish out with the final thoughts about this delay. Because Zelnick is bullshitting here, okay? Because he said it's not that far in advance. Bro, you just set a May 2026 release date. And now you're pushing it back to November, and now you're telling us it's not that far advanced. You have 6 months to develop the game. So why is it delayed? Also, we have to start marketing activities in a significant amount of time ahead of release. What marketing? Bro, one trailer release will blow the internet up. It's gonna blow the internet all over the internet. You don't need marketing with GTA 6. You really don't. Unless you want to do the typical billboard ad, the typical television ad. Nobody's watching television anymore, bro. There's streaming services. Go there. There's internet. There's YouTube. Do that. And then there's PlayStation advertising. There's Xbox advertising. You can do that in the platforms. So what are we talking about here? And then he said, up here, hold on here. When we set a date, we do really do believe in it. But you just fired employees. So how are we? You have 1 year to fix this, but you had 6 months. That's enough time to get the game finished. Why is it not made? So when you do this over here, it's not that far in advance. You're misunderstanding people when they ask you questions and you do the deflection. So I don't know what's going on there. Liar. Anyway, so that is all for this video. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Comment on the video. Share the video. Talk about Colin Stack 360. Stay awesome. I'll see you guys later.